there, I'm Syama, CEO of Scaling Retail. Today we're talking about retail strategies for 2020. Now, one of the most interesting things that's been on my mind lately is how we're looking at the new generation of consumers. I'm speaking specifically in terms of Gen Z. Now, Gen Z today is about 24 years old. They are slated to take up 40% of the spending population of total global consumer purchasing by 2025. And guys, Gen Z is going to make up 10% of all luxury spending in the next 18 months. Now, that is really powerful. We spent so much time and attention and energy looking at the millennial market that a lot of brands out there and retailers have been failing to understand how to adapt to the changing face of consumers. We now turn our attention to Gen Z. Gen Z, when it comes to social strategy, is primarily looking at content platforms like YouTube. They're also on Instagram as well as Snapchat. But guys, keep in mind, they are always first to market when it comes to looking at new and adaptive technologies. Gen Z is the first ones that are experimenting on platforms like TikTok. And so what does that mean for you guys? Well, when you take a look at your content strategy and how you're approaching from a platform standpoint, it's very important to understand that we're not just looking at a Snapchat generation. In fact, we're looking at a YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok generation. That means that our content platforms have to be adaptive, not only based on principles and ideas that are important to them, but we have to be ever present. Now, how is Gen Z shopping? Where are they going to make their purchasing? Well, Gen Z is not only shopping online, guys, but they are heavy IRL shoppers. Approximately 80% of Gen Zers are looking to shop IRL in store. That means that they're leveraging digital technologies and platforms as well as interactive and high-touch in-store experiences in order to make their purchasing decisions. This is very important. In the last few years, we've seen a huge shift of people who've just been focusing so much on digital that now the opportunity to have brick and mortar and pop-up and IRL experiences is now where we have to turn our attention. Not only is that better in terms of getting in front of more customers at a better scale, in many cases, guys, it's going to cost you less than throwing lots of money at ad budgets. This is where we're seeing the balance between online and in-store is as we're looking to get in front of these newer generations, namely younger millennials, Gen Zs, and soon to be Gen Alphas. So what are the values, right? What is it that Gen Zs are looking to from brands? What is your responsibility as a brand? Well, brands, you guys have to know that Gen Zs are asking more of you than any other generation in the past. In fact, Gen Zs are asking of you to step up and take a stand for things like climate change, environmental key issues that they have inherited as they are now growing up into this world. They're also asking you to take a stand for things like fair labor, taking a stand for equal pay, looking at things around feminist rights. And they're also pushing the forefront of gender fluidity and looking for brands to incorporate body positivity, as well as looking for brands to take a stand for diversity. Now, diversity can come in many different shapes and forms. In fact, what's so important here to understand as a brand that even though Gen Z is asking of you to stand for so many things and they're looking for these brand promises, they're also one of the biggest proponents of call-out culture. What does that mean for you? That means that you can't stand for all 10 or 20 things. That means that as a brand, you have to look at your brand identity and ask yourself, what are the core fundamental principles that we have that we actually need to really double down on and stand for so that we actually have authentic and transparent brand messaging that's going to land with Gen Z? If a brand comes out tomorrow and says, I'm doing this whole laundry list of activities and activations, Gen Z is going to be the first to say, no, you're not. And they're going to be the first to tell you exactly what you're doing wrong and potentially boycott your business. In fact, guys, 40% of Gen Zers have reported that they have boycotted a brand in the past, with 49% saying that they will do so in the future if necessary. Now, this is a really important statistic. It's not simply that Gen Z is looking into social media just to get inspired to shop. They are getting their news from Instagram. They are learning from their peers on platforms like YouTube, and they are taking to social to espouse their values, their beliefs, and to align with other like-minded peers who have the same values. So we have to ask ourselves, how on earth do we sell to Gen Z? If they're asking so much of us, they require for us to be so many things. If we actually have to relook at our own brand identity and what we stand for, how on earth are we actually going to position ourselves? And what are the channels and what are they looking for in terms of product? Gen Z is looking for a highly personalized engagement. Not only from a personalized feed when they hop onto your retail platform in terms of recommended products, but they're also looking for personalized engraving. They want to walk away with something that feels uniquely theirs, something that really touches home to them. That goes beyond just putting their name on something. That means that they're co-creating and co-collaborating with influencers and with brands in order to develop products. How do you do that? Experiential e-com, but also experiential in-store. Those in-store activations to drive Gen Zers to come and create something and take it away is not only an Instagram-worthy moment, but it's also a moment for you to align themselves with their core beliefs and their core personal attachment. Gen Z is also looking for your brand to take a stand for authenticity around sustainability and your supply chain. In fact, I would dare to say that some of the biggest luxury houses that we see today have driven the majority of their changes within their supply chain truly based on where they see the future of consumer behavior. Companies like Gucci and Burberry have taken a stand to get rid of fur, and companies like Prada have said with their signature nylon products that they will be actually flipping all of their nylon into recycled nylon in the early 2020s. Now, this is very important because Gen Z is on the forefront of taking luxury streetwear to a new level. They're the ones out there who are really remixing and rehashing what it means to dress and have style. These are the people who are shopping not only from the real in terms of buying something that's resold, but they're also remixing a luxury product with an aspirational product, and then certainly with their Converse. It is Gen Z that's creating their own identities based around values, and that is something that we haven't seen with any other generation to date. Let's talk a little bit about how you're going to close that sale with Gen Z. Because Gen Z has grown up in a time of financial insecurity, they're currently in the midst of understanding how to tackle and deal with a recession at a young age of early 20s. And they've also had to deal with sincere and severe political climate changes that are really forcing them to take a look at how they spend their money and their time. Companies like Afterpay and Klarna have done an amazing job of really revamping the idea of layaway. It's through those platforms that all consumers can now go on and purchase a product, but pay on monthly installments. Now, some might say, hey, is that ultimately good for the end consumer? But for a person like a Gen Zer, for them, this is an opportunity for them to have what they want, when they want to have it, and learn to manage their own personal finances and cash flow while still giving them the status of that brand. Gen Z is also one of the highest proportion of spenders when it comes to growth on platforms like Poshmark and The RealReal. That tells me that not only are they looking to get status items at a lower price, but they're also looking at the resale value of that product. They're the most modular and cyclical when it comes to buying newness, but they're also really interested on what that means for the environment. Now, companies like Poshmark play a really interesting role in the life of a Gen Zer. Not only does it allow them to rethink future purchases to understand how much they can make on it when they sell it, but this is a really good indicator of the gig economies that Gen Z is growing up in. They're the first generation to be able to just hop into a car and all of a sudden be their own employer through driving for Uber. They're the first to be able to automatically get an apartment and start renting out their room when they're on vacation. Gen Z is one of the first that's growing up in this gig economy that's highly modular, that's allowing them to rethink their entire lifestyle, some of them being nomads and other of them living nomadic employment lifestyles. So to take advantage of this new gig economy mindset, we have to ask ourselves, how do we empower Gen Z in order to see that brand affiliation with your company? I really love what companies like Stella McCartney have done with their collaborations with The RealReal, or even what companies like Kuyana have done with their collaborations with ThredUp. What's so amazing about that is it basically tells this consumer, hey, if you resell our brand products on this platform, we're going to give you a credit to shop back with us. Not only is that promoting the values that Gen Z has, but it's also allowing them to feel more brand loyal because they're getting paid and they're getting money back in order to shop with you again while participating in an economy that's aligning with their values. But what are the other ways in which we can engage with Gen Z? Number one, we're taking a look at how we can drive them more into in-store experiences. You really have to have on the forefront of your brain, what are we doing in terms of pop-ups? What's experiential for them? And guys, we have to think way beyond just traditional experiential, like I'm going to throw a party at my store. We have to be thinking about ways in which we can get them to collaborate with your brand, ways in which they're going to be able to walk away with a personalized product, and truly theatrical and experiences that are really high on showmanship. Your brand experiences need to be both Instagrammable, emotionally attached for them, and also have them walk away with some sort of understanding of your brand values and of your ethics. Now, number two, you have to begin to look at creating an experiential e-commerce platform. That means looking away from the traditional templates of Shopify and asking yourself, how can I gamify these technologies? How can I make it fun for someone to shop on my site, both mobile as well as your desktop? I'm really tired of brands out there saying I built a site and it's going to be optimized for mobile. But actually, guys, when someone goes onto the mobile site and it doesn't work and it's not as seamless, all of a sudden you're turning away that consumer and that Gen Z shopper. So experiential brick and mortar, experiential e-com, realigning your brand values and actually looking and saying, hey, do we need to pivot ourselves and pivot what we stand for in order to capture these consumers are really the primary ways in which you're going to be able to close and build into the foundation of this future customer. Obviously, it's a lot, guys. And if you're wondering, what are the first steps? How do I attack this laundry list of what Gen Z is looking for? How do my brand values need to change? Please send us an email at hello@scalingretail.com. This is the perfect time and opportunity to take a look at tomorrow's luxury and contemporary consumers who will soon make up 40% of global spending. Don't do what some of the older brands have done. Wait until it catches fire, like what we did with millennials, in order to then take a stand for this new population. Think about attention arbitrage. You have to be with those consumers. If you're first to market with them, they're going to remember you longer, they're going to spend more money with you, and you're going to become their go-to brand. Guys, Gen Z is brand loyal. You want them to be loyal to you. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please leave comments below. Would love to hear from you and would love to help you build your brand for the future. Thanks. Bye.